As a commercial photographer, I work for others. As a result, I'm an on-demand creative. I have products and brands put before me, and it's my job to be creative. Not when the mood strikes me or when I feel like it, but right now, regardless of how I'm feeling, regardless of what I personally think about the product or brand. Being creative on demand is a skill. I learned how to do it, and you can too. It allows me to turn on my creativity at a moment's notice and deliver solutions to my clients on a schedule within a budget. Let me tell you how. Hi, I'm Jeff Landstout with Creative Mindset. My day job is as a commercial photographer and videographer. Most of what I do is product related. Lifestyle images, in the studio lighting, lots of props and styling, that kind of thing. My mission is to take my more than 10 years of experience as a working professional creative, break down the tools and the mindset you're gonna need if you wanna take your creative ambition to the next level. If this is your first time here, go ahead and hit subscribe and don't forget to ring that bell so you don't miss a single video. Before I became a photographer, I worked in the software industry for years. One of the companies I worked for was growing a ton, and we were always getting moved around the building to make space for the new hires. At one point, my entire team was moved into the same space as all the creative folks at the company. I would sometimes sit and watch them just do their thing. It felt like magic to me, watching them produce all this stuff. Logos, branding, advertisements, marketing materials, from nothing. And they did it consistently. Design after design, idea after idea, iteration after iteration, day after day. How'd they do that? I could barely find the inspiration to come up with one halfway decent idea, let alone a lot of ideas on the fly. But these people, they were like wizards with how many ideas they had and how creative they were. As I became friends with some of them, I began to learn something. It wasn't magic, it wasn't a secret. Most of them didn't have degrees from fancy colleges, so it wasn't even something that they learned in school. I remember at one point, I was eating lunch with my friend Justin, who was the creative director of this particular team. And I was commenting at how there was no one subpar in the group, and that he was so lucky to have found such a great pool of talent. You know, he looked me right in the eye and he said, "It's not luck. And it's not that they're weirdly talented or something. Sure, you need some basic skills, but really anyone can perform at this level with the right habits and mindset." Here are 4 ways that you can start becoming an on-demand creative and increase your output right now. Number 1, never start when you feel like it. Start right now. I used to think that creativity was all about inspiration and passion. If I'm not inspired or passionate about what I'm working on, then I won't have great ideas. So I should just sit and wait for the good ideas to come. Now I know that the real key is to start, whether the inspiration is struck or not. When it's time to create, it's go time. And building the mental expectation that creation happens whether or not I'm ready for it is one of the cornerstones of actually being a creative on demand. I'm going to talk more about this one later. But one of the key things that helps this work is, number 2, be willing to have the bad ideas in order to get to good ideas. Listen. Most of the time, creative block is perfectionism in disguise. If we sit there and all that comes to mind are bad ideas that we instantly reject as we go, well, sure, we're gonna end up with very little work to show for it. That's because most of the time, creativity is an iterative process. Some people think of it like this. You have to dig through a few feet of bad ideas in order to find the good ones. But the thing I've tended to find is this. Most of the time, the good ideas are hidden inside the bad ideas. We just need to iterate to get to them. But if you're never even giving the bad ideas a chance to develop into anything, well, then you're gonna be blocked. So set your perfectionism aside and put the bad ideas out there, even if only for yourself. You'll be surprised at how many of them are actually pretty good ideas once you've polished them up. Number 3, when you're on a deadline, collaboration rules. There's a persistent myth about the lone creative, an old cranky man, it's usually a man, who spends all day out in his studio making masterpieces, who, like the groundhog, only appears once a year or once every couple of years to present their work, receive many accolades, and then fade into the background to go back to that studio to create even more genius level work. The truth is, if you have no deadlines to meet and all the time in the world, this model can be really successful. But if you're on any sort of schedule for delivery, it's always going to be faster to collaborate with somebody. Now, collaboration can mean a range of things, but at its most basic, collaboration is the process of two or more people getting together with the objective of solving a creative problem by bouncing ideas off one another to iterate the work as fast as possible. At some point, I'm going to do a whole video on effective brainstorming for creative people. Drop me a comment below and say, I'm interested in brainstorming if you'd like me to get to that sooner rather than later. Number 4. Look outside your sphere of influences for your inspiration. Now, have you ever been frustrated by why your creative work ends up seeming so much like the work of the people you look up to or admire in your industry? It's because you're in an echo chamber of your influences. It's super easy to do, and it can be a real creativity killer. One of the things I've learned is that the best way to have a steady flow of original ideas is not to collect your ideas where everyone else is, especially in your industry. Get curious about something completely unrelated to whatever it is you do. Then use that in your work. Only allow your work to be influenced by creators who are working in other mediums. If you want to increase your creative output, then drawing on unexpected influences can provide a wealth of opportunity in ways that are completely unique to you and your experiences. Speaking of creative output, I talk more about why you should increase your creative output in order to succeed faster in this video right here. Always remember, you matter and the world needs what you have to offer. Go after the life you want, my friends. You got this.